Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping into, well, the super fast-paced world of social media today, specifically looking at Instagram. And the big question, how do you make your really good content, your best stuff, last longer than just 24 hours? How can you turn those quick moments into something, well, something powerful for actual growth? So for this deep dive, we've been digging into some really interesting articles, guides, that kind of thing, all focused on getting the most out of Instagram story highlights. Our mission basically is to unpack all that, give you the key takeaways on using highlights to seriously boost your profile, whether that's for, a personal brand or maybe a business. And speaking of boosting things, while we were looking through the sources, we did see mentions of tools designed for growth. For example, one resource mentioned, rapidboost.net. It offers tools and strategies to speed up your social media presence. You can find out more on how rapidboost.net might amplify your impact by visiting their site.
Yeah, and that point about making content last, it's so crucial now. I mean, attention spans are short. There's just so much content flying around. Posting a great story is one thing, but highlights, they kind of solve that core problem, right?
Yeah.
How do you show someone new or even someone coming back who you are, what you offer, like instantly, without making them dig forever?
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that. Let's start with the basics, maybe. What exactly are Instagram story highlights?
Right, so fundamentally they're collections, curated collections of your old stories. But the key thing is they're permanent, or, well, permanent until you delete them, unlike regular stories that just vanish.
Right, and they live right there on your profile, just under the bio.
Mm,
Pretty prominent spot.
exactly, you really can't miss them. And the sources we looked at use some good analogies. They call them like a homepage navigation for your profile, or even an interactive catalog.
An interactive catalog, I like that.
Yeah, it fits. Think of it like taking the best bits from your temporary feed and organizing them into these neat browsable sections.
It makes total sense, like a visitor's first stop for your greatest hits, or the really important info. The sources gave examples, like a fitness coach, maybe grouping workout types, or a business showing off testimonials.
Mm-hmm. Classic examples. And they mentioned that travel blogger Natasha's Adventures, apparently, just by organizing her existing stories into clear highlights, things like city guides, travel tips, her DMs tripled.
Wow, tripled, just from organizing.
Yeah, just from making it easy for people to find the specific travel info they were looking for, led them to reach out directly.
That's that's a pretty big deal. So, okay, beyond just being neat, why do these permanent collections actually matter so much for like growing your profile?
Well, because first impressions on Instagram happen fast, like seconds fast. That's what the sources kept stressing. Good highlights, especially if they have nice covers, they grab the eye, they immediately signal, hey, this profile's organized, professional, and show what you're about.
And they give you control over that first impression. The sources listed a bunch of strategic upsides, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. They let you clearly show off your expertise. You can answer common questions up front, which, reduces friction for potential followers or customers. Plus, they're great for driving traffic to your site, your shop, whatever. And really importantly, showcasing social proof, testimonials, user content, that kind of thing.
Okay, now here's where it got really interesting for me. The data. The sources had numbers to back this up. What did they find about the impact?
Yeah, the data points were pretty compelling. Studies mentioned showed profiles using highlights well can see up to 40% higher retention rates. That's for first-time visitors.
40%, that seems huge.
It is. Think about it. Nearly half the people who might have just clicked away, they stick around because you've given them this clear, organized path to explore your best stuff right away.
So what is it about that retention stat? Is it purely the organization, you think?
Yeah, the analysis seems to point right at that. Clarity and ease of use. In an app where everything just scrolls by, having these fixed themed collections is, well, it's kind of a relief for the user.
Yeah.
It basically says, start here, or find this kind of info here. Makes the whole profile feel less chaotic, more useful. It shifts from just passively scrolling to actively looking.
Right, reducing friction.
Hmm.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, so we get the what and the why. They're important for impressions, retention. Let's talk how. You can't just throw everything in there. How do you actually decide what makes the cut? How do you curate them well?
Yeah, good question. It definitely starts with strategy, not just random archiving. The sources really push choosing, say, 5 to 7 core themes. Categories that align with your brand, your goals, and crucially, what your audience actually needs or asks about. Examples they gave were things like showcase for products, education for tips, testimonials, behind the scenes, maybe offers.
Okay, 5 to 7 themes.
Right. And the smart part is, These themes don't just organize old stuff. They should guide your future story creation too. You're building these content pillars you can always point people back to.
So once you have those themes, say education, how do you pick which actual stories go in from your archive?
The advice is generally to look at what performed well before. Stories that got lots of views, replies, questions, shares. Those clearly hit a nerve. But, and this is important, avoid clutter. Don't just stuff everything in. Be selective. Make sure each story in the highlight adds something specific.
Keep it tight.
Exactly. And keep it fresh. That was another big point. They're not set and forget. You should probably plan to review and update them regularly, maybe monthly, as your focus or offers change. They mentioned the beauty brand at Glossier keeps only 5-7 highlights active. Helps maintain that clean, purposeful look. Ensures everything's current.
That makes sense. Less is more if it's the right stuff and up to date. Okay, but it's not just the content inside, is it? How they look on your profile page matters too, the covers.
Oh, massively. Highlight covers are like little visual anchors on your profile, often the first thing people really see. Custom branded covers. They just instantly make you look more professional, more put together.
So what are the best practices there, according to the sources?
Pretty straightforward, actually. Use your brand colors, maybe fonts or logo elements. Tools like Canva got mentioned as being great for this. Keep the icons simple, easy to understand. And the big one, consistency. Make sure they all look like they belong together, match your overall profile aesthetic.
And did they have data on the impact of good cover?
Yep. Cited buffer data suggesting profiles with those branded, consistent covers get up to 25% more clicks on their highlights.
25% more clicks just from a nice cover.
Seems so. That clean design signals quality makes people curious to tap in.
Okay, so they tap in. What about the structure inside the highlight itself? Does the order of stories matter?
It does. The sources recommend thinking about the flow. Start strong. Put your best piece of content for that theme right at the beginning. Maybe the most eye-catching visual or the story that answers the biggest question first. And definitely end with a call to action. Don't just let it fizzle out. A simple story saying, DM me for questions, or link in bio for more details. Give people that next step. Oh, and mix it up inside. Videos, photos, graphics, and reuse interactive things like polls or question stickers if they were in the original story. Keeps it engaging.
Interesting. So they're not just static info dumps. They can actually build relationships, drive engagement. How did the sources explain that part?
Yeah, they definitely become engagement tools. You can use them for, say, ongoing behind-the-scenes content that makes people feel connected, or featuring user-generated stuff builds community like crazy, or even just creating a go-to resource like an educational series people can always find.
Like that blogger example, Lingha Yu.
Exactly. She apparently doubled her profile saves and shares just by putting all her Instagram hacks into one highlight. And then she kept promoting it. So people knew where to find this valuable stuff, saved it, shared it.
Yeah.
Created this positive feedback loop.
And that engagement, that visibility, can then lead directly to, say, driving traffic off Instagram.
Precisely. They act like little portals. Even if you don't have the swipe up feature, you can still direct people. Use a text overlay or a graphic in a story. Click the link in my bio, or DM me INFO. Be explicit.
And track what works.
Absolutely. Monitor the views, the taps on each highlight. See what topics are actually getting attention and driving those clicks or messages. E-commerce brands were mentioned as doing this well, using highlights for product collections, sales, reviews, all pushing towards a purchase.
Okay, this might sound a bit strange for Instagram, but can highlights actually help you get discovered? Is there an SEO angle?
It's not traditional SEO, but yes, sort of. Instagram search is getting smarter, so naming your highlights clearly with keywords people might actually search for, that helps. Things like FAQs, client results, events 2024. Keep the title short, though, under 15 characters ideally, so they don't get cut off.
Makes sense. Any other discoverability tips?
One suggestion was adding relevant branded hashtags to your original stories before you save them to a highlight. It's not a guaranteed magic bullet for highlight discovery, but it's easy to do and might help surface the content in wider searches. But beyond direct search, the organization itself helps with long-term recall. Good highlights become like a mental map for your followers. They know where to find that certificate info they saw once. Think of Notion using highlights for getting started guides, or the consultant, James F., getting client inquiries straight from his case studies highlight. People found proof of his work easily.
That's really interesting. They turn the profile from just a stream into like a structured resource, makes it much stickier. Okay, so let's bring it home. For someone listening right now, ready to actually do something today, what are the concrete steps the sources laid out?
Yeah, they broke it down into roughly 7 steps. First, Audit your archive. Find the good stuff. 2. Choose those 5-7 core themes. 3. Design nice branded covers. 4. Populate the highlights, order the stories, and plan to update them, say, monthly. 5. Make sure there are engaging bits inside, calls to action. 6. Check your analytics, see what's working. And 7. Promote them. Tell people they exist in your regular stories, or even mention a key one in your bio.
Right. Don't just build it and hope they find it.
Exactly. And there was that quick success story that illustrated it well.
Oh, yes. Nina, the digital marketer.
Right. She got a 50% bump in follows just by creating a free marketing templates highlight. Clear value, branded cover, promoted it. Simple, effective. Shows it works when you're intentional.
That's a great example. So wrapping up your Instagram profile. It's more than just posts. It's your digital handshake, your storefront, really. And using story highlights effectively turns those moments that would just disappear into this powerful, always-on portfolio working for you.
The key takeaway really is, don't treat them like an afterthought, like a messy archive. Think of them as strategic pillars. Design them thoughtfully, keep them fresh, use them to start conversations or guide actions. When you do that, they genuinely become magnets for attention, for trust, and ultimately for growth.
Totally agree. So the challenge for you listening is go audit your archive, craft those highlights, and just watch how your profile starts to change.
And maybe a final thing to chew on. How can you make sure your best stories aren't lost? How can they become these lasting assets that really serve your audience and your goals? What gems are maybe sitting in your archive right now, just waiting to become a highlight that makes a real difference?
That's it for this deep dive.